All right, what is going on, everyone? Back here with another video. Believe it or not, it's the end of the season now. So this video, I know we missed kind of last week's due to the holidays and stuff, but this week's video will be about kind of what happened at the end of the year, last couple of weeks, specifically this week, that determined the playoff seedings. And then we're each going to give our playoff predictions of what we think will happen in this postseason. I'm very excited because I think it's honestly anyone's game this year more than years past. But yeah. With that being said, I guess we can start with the most recent game, Colin. The Bills and Dolphins. In my opinion, when I watched it, kind of a sloppy game at the beginning, especially for Buffalo. Josh Allen turned the ball over. But my biggest takeaway is just Tua and that offense could not get it done when it matters most. I don't know about you.
No,
What you think? Your takeaways?
you know, I've been riding the Bills since probably the first time we were talking on here.
Yeah, when they were like 6-6 or something, on the verge of not going to
And
the
they,
playoffs.
it looks like they turned it around. I mean, Miami's always been throughout the season playing teams that have a losing record and stomping on them and doing okay. But when they play competitive teams, it looks like they're a flop.
Yeah, it's been very weird. And this is why I really never got the Tua for MVP discussion. And somewhat the same with Dak Prescott. I know Dak can do it more, but we saw Dak against the 49ers throw 3 interceptions, against the Bills have an awful game. And we've seen Tua kind of do this disappearing act too. Kansas City earlier in the year, Buffalo, the Philadelphia game. And it's very interesting. And I just think, it's I don't know what Miami is anymore, like heading into the future.
They're the sixth seed.
Yeah, no, I mean, just like the future though, like, do you just kind of hope Tua can improve like on this? Do you really think he's the franchise guy? He's put up
I
the
think
number.
they're a QB away from being a better team and maybe some better like defensive players, maybe.
Yeah, no, yeah, I agree. It'll just be interesting to see what Miami does here. I know Tua, maybe give him another year or two, see what he can do. But if this is the ceiling of the Dolphins team, which is like a wild card team and just out first round, do you want to move on despite the good stats and the chemistry him and Tyreek have? And then kind of one other main thing, because we'll break down all the other teams going into the playoffs, is a team that I was high on up until the Christian Kirk injury was the Jaguars collapsing to miss the playoffs entirely. I know Trevor Lawrence is getting a lot of heat, but I'm also heavily disappointed what Calvin Ridley brought this year in their supporting cast in general. Just a lot of drops, and their defense was suspect at the end of the year, and losing to a Titans team that had nothing to play for. Kind of disappointing, and I'm kind of confused. How does Jacksonville like build upon their success of winning a wild card game last year, winning the division?
I believe Mike Vrabel got fired as well.
Yeah. And what does Jacksonville do? Because they're kind of in a weird spot. Do you just hope Trevor Lawrence can improve, or was this hype just overhype and he's just an average QB? It'll be interesting to see. I think there's a lot of questions we can talk about in the offseason about Jacksonville, because they were 8-3 at one point and looked like the team to come out of the AFC, or one of the teams to compete. But
they were your favorite for a bit.
They were not. Now they finished 9-8 and missed the playoffs. But that'll bring us to the first playoff preview game. The winner of the AFC South, the Texans, go on to face the Cleveland Browns. I don't know if you want to start first with your game. I think this is going to be a very good one. And CJ Stroud and the Texans, who have outperformed everyone's expectations, but also can be said with the Browns too.
To be honest, it's going to be a toss-up. But I think Joe Flacco's got more playoff experience. I think the Browns have a better defense. I do like the Texans, and they're probably going to be a better team down the road as they develop. They have a lot of young stars on offense and defense. But I think the Browns are going to take away this one.
Yeah, the Texans have been a great story. And I think maybe if the Texans were fully healthy with Tank Dell, and Nico Collins is obviously a beast on the other side. But I think this Texans team is going to continue to improve and get better. But this Browns defense is just too good.
Agreed.
They are, let me see, number one defense in yards. Joe Flacco's been turning the ball over, but playing basically amazing ball since he got to Cleveland. And I'm just going to ride with the better team overall, I think, and the experience with the Browns in this one. But I could see a sneaky upset. and have
Totally.
despite Houston being the higher seed. And then we move on to the Saturday night game, which the team we just talked about, the Dolphins, traveling to face a Kansas City team at the 3 seed. I think both these teams are kind of suspect here, but I guess I'll start off with this one. I'm just going to take the experience. I don't really love this Chiefs team. They've struggled on offense pretty much all year, receivers dropping balls. But with the Dolphins, if Tua can't win a big game at home, you're expecting him to travel to Arrowhead, which is one of the loudest stadiums, against one of the best QBs in Kansas City's defense, who's been very solid this year. I just think it's going to be too much. I think it's still going to be a one-score game just because the Dolphins can score. I think they will score, and the defense will obviously get some stops, but I'm rolling with the Chiefs here.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I don't think Tua is built for playoffs. Reminds me of kind of like a Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
Just pretty
Yeah.
weak.
No, I agree.
The Dolphins had a good year and they had a lot of hype, but I think that hype will end when they play a competent playoff team like the Chiefs.
Agreed. So we're 2 for 2, same ones. And this one, I don't think we're going to disagree on, especially with your hype. The 1:00 game, the Pittsburgh Steelers snuck in. Mason Rudolph, actually, probably their best QB all year.
Yep.
But they're traveling to Buffalo to face a Red Hot Bills team that's won like 5 in a row.
Ain't gonna happen.
I think we both got Bills winning this one.
Yep. Josh Allen's killing it.
It could be a little suspect. I don't know if you remember that Bills Dolphins wild card game last year where the Dolphins were starting Skylar Thompson and Josh Allen with the turnovers got very inaccurate. And against the Steelers team, and I know they won't have TJ Watt, but the defense, Minka Fitzpatrick, still scrappy. As long as the Bills don't turn this ball over 4 times, they're not going to lose this game. They just can't
no
let them
stupid
get easy
mistake.
points.
They got to lock in.
Yeah. And then moving on to the 4:30 game, the Green Bay Packers, the 7th seed, Jordan Love playing some great ball down the stretch, go to Dallas to face the 2-seeded Cowboys. I guess I'll start with this one. I don't love the Cowboys, but I think they're a better team than the Packers. CeeDee Lamb, man, he's turning himself into arguably a top 3 receiver in this league with the way he's played this season. He's put himself into like that Diggs range, or if not above. But I think the Cowboys
above this season.
Yeah, definitely above the season. But I like the Cowboys in this one.
Yeah.
And especially there hasn't been a 7 seed to beat a 2 seed yet. So unless it's a 7 seed that I really love, I'm probably not going to pick it until it actually happens.
The Packers look good this year. They got a lot to prove down the road, but I think Dallas is a more playoff hardened team.
Yeah. And then probably the game of the week, Sunday night, Matthew Stafford makes his return to Detroit. The 6-seeded Rams ended the season incredibly hot after starting the season like 3-6. Puka Nacua, rookie of the year if it wasn't for CJ Stroud. Great rookie season. I think arguably the best by rookie receiver. But they face the Detroit Lions. Very offensive heavy team here. That's had a great regular season, the best in franchise history, 12 wins on the year.
Yep.
At home in this game. Do you want to start?
This is going to be a battle. I feel like the better end to the story is Matt Stafford beating the Lions. However, I think that the Rams are kind of washed. I think Matt Stafford hasn't played that well this season. He's been on and off. I mean, they do have some young stars going on. Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua, obviously. They got Cooper Kupp back now. But I just like the Lions better here, to be honest. I feel like they're going to get a nice dub here.
Yeah. For me, in this one, it kind of reminds me.
Lions are the home team, right?
Yeah. They're a 3-seed NFC North champions. It kind of reminds me of last year's game. If you remember the Giants versus the Vikings. The Vikings were a heavy offensive team, very suspect defensively. Giants, not the best team, but scrappy. And a lot of people thought this was a 50-50 game, even though I think the Vikings were like 3-4 wins better. And the Giants ended up winning. And I think it's just because their defense is too suspect. And I don't trust this Lions defense. I think it's going to be almost like the Giants Vikings game from last year, like a 31-24. The Lions are going to put up points.
Shootout.
I don't think their defense is going to be able to stop Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua, and their playoff
Unless
experience.
Aiden Hutchinson has the game of his life.
Yeah, and even though the Rams defense isn't great, you still got Aaron Donald. You still got the experience of that team, and the coaching advantage, I think, goes to Sean McVay. I think this may be a game where Dan Campbell makes one too many stupid decisions, even though I love the guy. Great coach. Got the Lions moving in the right direction, but I think it's going to be a close one-score game. But I'm going to roll with the upset here. I think the Rams are scrappy, and they'll find a way to win this one.
Valid.
But it will be great. And then moving into the Monday night game for Super Wildcard Weekend, we got the Philadelphia Eagles. You could practically say limping in, a dead bird, facing off against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the 4 seed, surprising NFC South champions after Tom Brady retired. Baker Mayfield, I think, has established himself as a bridge quarterback starting for any team, or even a long-term deal, or somewhat like 3-year deal, the way he's played for Tampa Bay this season. Mike Evans still there, and you got experience, and they're at home against an Eagles team that was 10-1, NFC reigning champions, almost Super Bowl. What? Yeah, the Bucs are home. Yeah, since they're the division winner. And the Eagles, 10-1, have lost 5 out of their last 6, last 2 to a Cardinals team when they were up 21-6. And Jalen Hurts and the starters getting benched against Tyrod Taylor and the Giants, who had nothing to play for. I guess I'll start with this one. I really want to pick the Buccaneers, but there's just something that tells me I don't even think they're going to go far. But for 1 week, I think Philly is just going to have enough. If they get out first round, I think Nick Sirianni gets fired. And I'm not really confident in this pick. It's just more of a gut feeling. I feel like the Eagles will just barely squeak it out, like a 20-17 type win. Just because, this is going to be Baker's second appearance in the playoffs. He doesn't have a lot of experience. It's going to be close, I think. But I'm just going to roll with the team that I think is better, and they'll just light a fire just for at least one game to get this done. But who do you have?
I've counted on the Eagles to win in quite a few weeks. Like I could have sworn there were a bunch of games where it was like a no-brainer to pick the Eagles, and I'm just liking the way the Bucs are playing. I'm liking Baker. I'm liking Mike Evans. The Bucs D is okay, but not like Philly's offense is any better.
Yeah. What will happen? I think Tampa Bay probably is the better team right now, and it wouldn't surprise me who wins. I think this game's a pick 'em, even though a lot of people would have expected I think the Eagles to be a lot better. But with that being said, that moves into our second round, where if everything stands correctly, we have everything the same in the AFC. So the way it would line up is we have the 5-seeded Browns going to the 1-seed Baltimore Ravens in a division matchup. Do you want to go first on this one?
What a game that will be. The Ravens are cooking. They're pretty much unstoppable, in my opinion. I think the only team in the AFC that could even remotely beat the Baltimore Ravens is probably the Buffalo Bills, but I'm going to go with the Ravens here for sure. The Browns have had a good run. The Joe Flacco thing's pretty cool. They're a good team, but they're not good enough to beat the Ravens.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a close game. But Baltimore, I think, has learned from their mistakes in the playoffs when Lamar won his first MVP.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll win his second one again. I think they've learned from their mistakes in the playoffs, and I think they'll just have enough. It's going to be scrappy just because division, this is your third time playing them. But it's at your home. You're the 1 seed. You're going to be fresh. I think Houston's going to make them battle. And I think they'll fall just short. Joe Flacco just won't make enough plays. Especially if Nick Chubb was in this, I could see like a Derrick Henry type of situation where the run game's going to overwhelm Baltimore. And you can keep them off the field. But I'm just going to ride with Baltimore here. I think they got it. But
no doubt.
Yeah, should be a good one. And then with that being said, we have the 2-seeded Bills against the Kansas City Chiefs, who are the 3 seed. And this game will be in Buffalo this time. And I think with that advantage, Kansas City, I know you don't want to count out Patrick Mahomes, best quarterback in the league still. I think
Mhm.
he just has no help. Travis Kelsey's been kind of disappointing this year, to say the least. And I think the Bills are just hotter. They got the defense. They got James Cook in a running game. You got Diggs, Gabe Davis, who are play. I mean, we've seen Gabe Davis perform in the playoffs at an extraordinary level. You
Mhm.
got Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox. I think they'll just be too much, and I think Buffalo will win this one.
Yeah, no doubt. I completely agree. I think, especially in Buffalo, with the momentum they have, the Chiefs just won't have it here unless they get a billion different calls from the referees,
Yeah,
which is possible, but
that is something to keep an
I'd
eye on.
I'd really hope not. Yeah, I think realistically, the Bills are the better team, and plus with the home field advantage, stuff like that, I think they're going to get their revenge on the Chiefs.
Yeah, it's a good point. So, with that being said, we have a Ravens Bills AFC Championship. Who do you think goes to the Super Bowl?
I mean, the obvious choice would be the Ravens here, but I have a feeling that the Buffalo Bills pull through here, to be honest. I think the Buffalo Bills have a way more high powered offense. I do like how Lamar plays. I don't think they've played this season, have they?
No, no. I
Um,
remember last year they played in Baltimore and it was a very close one. Buffalo won, but
I feel like Buffalo just had a tougher schedule, in my opinion. I feel like they're one of the most underrated teams in the league. I know their defense is pretty good for not having that much, and they have a few injuries. Um, I just feel like if Josh Allen is locked in these playoffs, I feel like they sneak away to the Super Bowl against whoever we're going to decide they're playing.
yeah, I agree. Um, I think the Bills just have more playmakers. Baltimore, you have Zay Flowers, OBJ, but that running game, I mean, Gus Edwards without Mitchell, Kavion Mitchell, who's a great rookie for him. Um,
That
thanks.
scheme will only last so long.
Yeah, and I think they'll be figured out sooner rather than later. And I think they'll just fall a couple plays short against the Bills, who will go to the Super Bowl, who finally break through this wall that they've been trying to get through.
Hmm.
And then, so we both have the Bills. Now let's go to the NFC side where things are a little bit different in our playoff brackets.
Yep.
So in my case scenario, I would have the Rams traveling to San Francisco
Hmm.
and the Cowboys playing the Eagles. And in my scenario, I'll just go through, pick my games, you pick yours since they're kind of
Hmm.
different scenarios. I would have the 6 seeded Rams at 1 seed 49ers. The 49ers win that one. Um, Kyle Shanahan has typically owned Sean McVay for whatever reason, even in their Super Bowl year. The
Yeah,
49ers went
no doubt.
against them. Um, 49ers, just the better team, will be fully healthy. One thing that may concern me was the Brock Purdy not playing this past week, has a bye week. Then you're waiting until the divisional, almost 3 weeks off. I could see a little bit of rust early, but I don't think it'll be anything like the Ravens game where he threw 4 picks. So I
Yeah.
think the 49ers will have enough to get it done. Got too many weapons not to.
Mhm.
And then in my other divisional game, I had the Eagles versus the Cowboys, and I think the Eagles rally call is done here. I think the Cowboys will
Thank
win.
God.
I think the Cowboys will win this one. Division game, so it could be closer. The Eagles do have that playoff experience. But with that fractured locker room, I don't trust them to go far. The Cowboys have been the better team all year. Dak Prescott's played at an MVP level somewhat.
Yeah.
Probably top 5 quarterback this year. Um, and yeah, so I have a 1 versus 2 matchup. And then of your games, you would have the 49ers versus the Buccaneers, and then the Lions versus the Cowboys.
49ers versus Bucks is a tough game. 49ers are going to stomp them. That was a cute little run they had. The 49ers are just simply the better team there.
Yeah.
I don't
No
think they
offense
have
to
a
Baker.
shot in the dark. And
Yeah.
it's not even Baker's fault. There's just nothing they can do there.
Yeah.
You
They're
know?
kind of walking in.
Yeah.
And then you also have a matchup that ended very controversial a couple weeks ago in Dallas, with that Lions versus Cowboys.
Yep.
Who do you have winning this one?
Um, Sorry to say it, the Lions' little run is over. Also, I think the Cowboys are the better team. I mean, they have a stacked defense. Micah Parsons, you name it. Um, I'm gonna give the Cowboys the dub here for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be very
The
which
Lions
is
just don't have the defense to make it that deep in playoffs.
yeah, it's gonna be close. We'll see what happens. And
Maybe.
then so we both have an NFC Championship matchup of the 49ers versus Cowboys. Do you want to start with this one?
Um, Cowboys are the Cowboys, and every year they seem like they're going to do well, and they choke it at some point. So I feel like the choke here will definitely be the NFC Championship. 49ers are just the way better team for sure, in my opinion. Not on paper. I feel like they're pretty even on paper, but just by play style and overall, like just how I've watched them play over this season, I feel like the 49ers are going to do pretty well against the Cowboys.
And I agreed for all the right things. We saw these teams play earlier in the year, and the 49ers won by 32 points. But you know what? I think times are going to change here. And I'm going to bet I think Dallas is going to go into this game and pull off the upset. I I think the Cowboys, despite what happened early in the year, match up well with them. You got Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence. You got
You'd think,
Deron.
right?
You would think you got Deron Bland. I think the key to this game, it's not going to be like CD going for 200 yards, but it's going to be a Tony Pollard game. You got to be able to run the ball, and I think Dallas will just be able to just get it done. I think it's going to be when we saw these teams in the playoffs last year. I think the regular season was great, but I think when you compare these teams last year, roughly the same team, the 49ers won by I think it was a touchdown or a field goal. One
Something
score
like
game.
that, like one score.
Yeah, it was one score game because it ended with that Zeke at center QB to try and win it or whatever what that was. But I think the Cowboys just something about them is different. At least I think with CD Lamb, he's like been a wide receiver one. You got Tony Pollard who can catch, run. You got a good offensive line. And I think Dak is going to silence the haters and lead them. I can't believe I'm saying this. Lead them to the Super Bowl to face the Bills, which would be an old rival matchup from the 90s in which they faced off in multiple Super Bowls. So I think it's only fitting to how, the script is with Tyreek Hill making his return to Kansas City and all this. I think everyone's expecting a 49ers Bills or at least a 49ers run.
Yeah.
And I think, it'll be somewhat a punch in the mouth. And something about San Francisco, I think they're going to choke because we say it every year. Stacked roster, they're ready. And
well, there's a few things there that might have cost them their Super Bowl last year. I mean, zero quarterback. They had what their fourth backup in, and then we're gonna put Christian McCaffrey in.
That's a good point.
Brock Purdy with a broken arm or whatever.
But you look at the year before, 10-point lead against the Rams in the fourth, blow it. Year before that, they were injured, but in the Super Bowl, they blow it. Just something about him, whether it's here or in the Super Bowl, I don't trust him. Kyle Shanahan with the Falcons blew it. 28-3 lead offensive coordinator blew it.
That's fair.
I think Mike McCarthy, as much as people give him garbage, he has won a Super Bowl, so he does know what it takes somewhat. He's faced off against Mike Tomlin in that Super Bowl, who's a great head coach.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be close. I think San Francisco is definitely favored in that matchup, but I think something about Dallas this year, they can just get it done and pull off the upset.
I can't wait to revisit that conversation.
We will. And if I'm right, I need an apology video.
When Dallas probably chokes at round 1 or something like that.
No.
You got him in the Super Bowl.
With that being said, now we have for you a Bills versus Niners. I have a Bills versus Cowboys. And if you want to go, your Super Bowl winner.
The Niners are obviously the more favorable team here, but I feel like this Super Bowl will come down to quarterback play. I think Brock Purdy, in one of the probably biggest moments of his career, will not compete as well as Josh Allen has. Josh Allen's taken a lot of beatings, not played to his full potential, and I feel like if given the chance here, two QBs who have never been to the Super Bowl, my money's on Josh Allen here. The 49ers defense is really good, but Josh Allen has his ways and he's unpredictable in the pocket. The Bills defense is pretty rock solid when they prepare, especially for
Yeah.
something as good as the Super Bowl. I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll actually be a really good Super Bowl this year. Definitely won't be a blowout, but I'm going to go with the Bills, maybe ending it in the late fourth quarter.
All right. And with that being said, I mean, San Francisco beat the Cowboys early in the year. The Bills beat the Cowboys, but you know what? The Cowboys are on a revenge tour. They're gonna silence the haters. Ghetto Gronk, their memes are gonna be closed, and the Cowboys are gonna win the Super Bowl. I think they get too much hate. Dak top 5 this year, cute quarterback, defense been amazing without Trayvon Diggs still.
Yep.
Got the supporting cast, I think, finally to get it done. It's going to be a very close game, but I think Josh Allen, if this Super Bowl matchup were to happen, would just have one too many mistakes. He still led the league in picks, so maybe a Deron Bland pick 6 is only fitting. But yeah, you know what? I think this is the year of the unexpected. Anyone can win it. That means Dallas can win it. So that's what.
Wild prediction.
Yeah,
Wild.
you know what? Once if we revisit this and the Dallas Cowboys win the Super Bowl, call me a genius.
We should find a way to like clip in you talking about it, and
Yeah.
then we can also clip in like them losing in like the divisional or something, like by like 40 points.
Well, we'll or like recap each round, so we'll come
All
back
right,
to it.
cool.
But
Yeah,
yeah, all right. So with that being said, that's the end of our prediction videos. Hopefully for each of us it goes right. But thank you for watching. Catch you in the next one.